All right. Today, we are getting into a detail in Arabic that seems really small, but trust me, it is absolutely critical. We're talking about a single two-letter word, la, that can be either a simple statement of fact or a really powerful direct command. And knowing the difference, well, it changes everything.
So just take a look at these two phrases on the screen. I mean, they look almost identical, right? But one means you do not hit, and the other means do not hit. The only visible difference is that tiny little mark at the very end of the verb. So how on earth do we tell them apart? How do you know if you're reading a simple negation or a direct prohibition? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve today.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by breaking down these two types of law and the grammar behind them. Then we'll put them right next to each other so the difference becomes super obvious. After that, we'll look at some really powerful examples from the Quran, and by the end, you'll see exactly why this tiny distinction is so incredibly important.
Right, let's jump in with the first type of law. This is the heavy hitter. This is the one that carries the full weight of a command, the one that tells you what not to do.
In Arabic, it's called La-e-Nafi, which basically means the prohibitive law. Its whole job, its entire purpose is to forbid something, to prohibit an action. So when you see this law, you know someone is being told, do not do this. Simple as that. It's the exact opposite of a positive command. So here's the secret to spotting it. This law has real grammatical power. Think of it as an active particle that literally reaches out and changes the verb that follows it, putting it into a special state called majzum. Now you can spot this change in two main ways. First, the last vowel of the verb just vanishes and gets replaced by a sukoon, that little circle you see. Or, and this is a big one for plurals, the final letter noon just gets dropped completely. That change is your flashing red light that a command is being given. All right, now let's talk about its twin, which builds a completely different meaning. This law isn't about giving orders at all. It's just about stating the facts. This one's called La-e-Nafi, the negating law. Its meaning is way simpler, just does not or is not. It doesn't command you, it doesn't forbid anything, all it does is report information. It just states that an action isn't happening or it won't happen. It's a simple negation.
And here is the absolute key contrast. Unlike its powerful twin, this law is grammatically passive. It has zero effect, absolutely no effect on the verb that comes after it. The verb just stays in its normal default state, which is called marfu'a. The final vowel is still there, the final nun in plurals doesn't go anywhere, the verb is completely untouched.
Okay, now for the fun part. Let's put them side by side. This is where it's all going to click and become crystal clear.
So here's the whole story in one table. On the left, you've got La-e-Nafi, the prohibitive one. Its purpose? To forbid. Its meaning? Do not. And its effect? It makes the verb majzum. You spot it by looking for that sukoon or the missing noon. Now on the right, you have La-e-Nafi, the negative one. Its purpose is just to inform. Its meaning is does not, and it has no effect on the verb. You spot it because the verb's ending looks totally normal. In the end, it all comes down to the verb. The verb tells you everything you need to know.
You know, theory is great, but let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at some famous verses from the Quran, where this one distinction carries immense weight.
So here's our first one. This is such a powerful and comforting line, spoken by the Prophet Muhammad to his companion in a moment of real distress. The key word we're zooming in on is the verb right after la, Tahzan. The translation is do not grieve. See, that's a command, a prohibition, and the grammar is what proves it. The original default verb would be tahzanu, with that oo sound at the end. But because of the prohibitive law, that vowel gets knocked off and replaced with a sukoon. That change is the signal. It tells you this is not a statement, it's a direct command to stop grieving.
Okay, now for a perfect contrast, this verse here is a statement about the nature of divine justice. I want you to pay close attention to the verb following law in this one.
The translation here is, indeed, Allah does not wrong the people. See the difference? This is not a command. It's a statement of fact. And the grammar confirms it for us. This is La-e-Nafi, the negating law. Just look at the verb, yadlimu. It ends with its normal oo vowel sound. The law did absolutely nothing to it. It's simply reporting a truth about God's nature.
Let's do just one more, because this one shows us that other key indicator we talked about. This is a command, but it's being given to a whole group of people, not just one person. So again, it's a command. Do not mix. This is clearly prohibitive.
Now, the original verb for you all mix would be talbusuna, ending with that noon. But because of our powerful friend La-e-Nafi, that final noon is dropped. Poof, the verb becomes talbisu. That missing noon is the unmistakable sign of a direct prohibition aimed at a group.
So, we've been getting into the weeds here, looking at vowels and dropped letters. But why? Why does focusing on this one tiny grammatical detail make such a profound difference for anyone studying Arabic, especially when reading a text as important as the Quran?
Let's just boil it down to the simplest principle. Think of La-e-Nafi as the commander. It's powerful. It actively changes the verb to issue a command. And then you have La-e-Nafi, the reporter. It's passive. It leaves the verb completely alone and just makes a statement. The verb itself tells you who you're dealing with, the commander or the reporter.
And this is really why it matters so much. Mastering this one little rule is the difference between correctly understanding a divine command, something you absolutely must not do, and just reading a simple description of something that isn't happening. For anyone trying to understand the Quran, that level of precision isn't just a nice little grammar point. It is everything.
So, there you have it. One letter, one tiny change to a verb, but a world of difference in meaning. It's a perfect example of how, in Arabic, sometimes the smallest, most subtle details are the keys that unlock a much deeper understanding. It makes you wonder, right? What other secrets is the language just waiting to reveal?